Will, because I was thinking my story is going to be weird as hell. So thank you, Will. My brother. I was going to tell a story like when we were doing the show at the Douglas, and I was thinking forward, and I was thinking, cool, I'll come tell a story at Grant's today. And I had the story I picked out because I knew it was Women's Month. And I was going to tell this cool story about when I met Ruby D, and it ended up, the night ended up with me and her eating collard greens with cornbread and with our fingers. But I'm not going to tell that story. Oh, it's some true shit. So, the reason why I want to tell the story that I'm telling is because of, as a result of me telling the story, it's so many stories I told at the Douglas because of some shit that happened afterwards. And believe me, it might not sound like it at the beginning, but it is a celebratory story in the end. It's a story about the one and only time I went to jail. People call it jail, but for me, it was prison. I might as well have been, digging ditches and picking cotton, because I'd never been. And I didn't know anything about the process. So it started. This young lady and I were riding in the car, and this person bumped us in the back. I mean, literally like that. And the person I was riding with, she was one of those, what do you call it, ambulance chasers or something? She's like, oh, opportunity to sue. Because I was like, nothing's wrong with the car. No, you gotta call the cops. You gotta call the cops. So they come. And they get my license and stuff. Because I was driving at the time. They get my license and all that stuff. And they go back. They come back up. And I reached out my hand to get my stuff. And they said, could you step outside of the car, Mr. Hollingshed? And I said, is this the way it goes? And what are they going to talk about her and ask me if she's really hurt or something? They said, can you come to the back of the car? And I went there. They said, could you turn around, please? And I was like, why? So they put handcuffs on me. And I was like, what are you locking me up for? So they told me about this ticket I had in Rockdale around Congress. And I said, no, but I paid it. But they took me anyway. And I was sure that I was going to get a chance to call my dad and have him come get me, and we'll straighten this stuff all out. So I wasn't worried, worried. It was a Friday evening, and this is where my lack of knowledge about how it works really comes into play. So it's Friday evening, I'm in this holding cell, and when I walk in, every sheriff in there is a friend of mine or my relative. Chico and Billy, Michael, everybody on duty. The first thing they said is, what are you doing here? I'm like, this ticket I had and stuff. And they're like, man, out of all the people in the world we thought would come, never would we imagine you. I'm like, me either. So, okay. So I said, well, let me use the phone, call Dad, so he can come get me. And they all started laughing. I didn't understand why. I later found out why. But they let me use the phone. They didn't even make me go inside the little holding thing. They let me sit outside with them. I'm out there with my legs on the desk at the sheriff's department, chilling, waiting around again to call my dad at Armstrong. So I'm waiting. Finally, these guys changed shifts. I'm still there. So we'll see you. When we come again, I'm like, yeah, right, you won't see me, you'll see me outside. Like, they laugh, they leave. So I'm waiting for my dad to call back or somebody tell me he's been there. So this guy, a couple of guys in the holding cell, I'm telling them, I'll be out here in a few minutes. Let me get your name and number. I'll bring you some cigarettes or put something on your books because I'll be out here in a few minutes. Well, I saw them go to the back and go to the population and all this stuff, and I'm waiting. And finally they call my name. I'm like, good, I'm getting out. Nah, you're going the wrong way. You're going this way. So I'm still thinking it's a joke. So I'm walking down the corridor, And I'm thinking, y'all really taking this thing too far. And I know any moment they're going to say, okay, man, turn back around, you can go home. But they didn't, and these doors slammed. And that's when it started getting real. And I was like, you mean I got to stay here? It's like, yeah, because no judges come in on the weekend, so you got to stay until Monday. I didn't know that. So now my whole thinking changes. I'm like, Lord have mercy. Whatever they do, please don't put me in this cell with a sissy. That's the way I talk. Don't put me in the cell with somebody gay, please. As soon as they open the door, first the room they take me, cell they take me to, this man is asleep on the thing. His hair is long and plaited up. I'm like, damn! So there's only one bed, so I sit on the floor and I wait for the morning. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I'm getting sleepy. So I said, but I can't go to sleep because I don't want this person to wake up and take advantage of me. So I'm like, okay, shit. So I said, but forget it, I can't fight it. So I lay down. So when I lay down, I'm like, but if I go to sleep and, I think of some girl, he's got it, I don't want him to see me. So I turned my back to him. Then I said, no, that's not gonna work because I'm giving him access now. So I turned back around and I try to stay woke, I try to stay woke. So eventually I kind of doze off. And I hear somebody saying, Bobby, what are you doing in here? And I'm like, who knows? That's my nickname is Bobby. Only my family and friends know that. And he said, what are you doing in here? And I look up and it's a dude that I knew when I was a little boy. We grew up families everybody knows each other. I'm like, he said, what are you doing in here? You don't have any business in here. He said, I don't either, don't get me wrong, but especially you. And I'm like, you're right, I should be here. And I told him what happened, and the morning came, and everybody went to eat. I said, I'm not eating that crap. I'll be gone in a minute. I still didn't receive that I was going to have to stay there until Monday. So I don't eat the lunch, the breakfast, nothing. So these guys in this little room, he says, you might as well come in this little rec room. They're out there playing. They're playing cards, and they're about to fight. And I want to break them up. And they grabbed me and said, no, you don't break up fights. In here, you'll be fighting. I said, no, man, forget that. So they said, no, I'm telling you. So I said, no, I'm going to break it. So I broke them up, and everybody calmed down. So night came. And boy, if you want to hear a group of people who are loud and know every curse word that's ever been invented, don't go to jail, but go to jail. I mean, it was like rocking the building. God damn, motherfucker, I'm going to kill you with that area. For 3 hours straight. I said, do they ever stop? He said, the only way they're going to stop is you got to sing. I said, I'm not singing to a bunch of guys. He said, I'm telling you, the guys that used to sing got out yesterday. And if you don't sing, I promise you, it's going to go on all night. So after 2 more hours of it, I decided to sing. And it was Sunday morning now. And I started singing gospel songs. And it got quieter and quieter and quieter. And everybody got quiet except this one dude. And he kept yelling. And I heard this voice that boomed and rocked the place. He said, if you don't shut your goddamn mouth and let that goddamn man sing them goddamn church songs, I'm going to kill your goddamn ass. You better let that goddamn man sing those goddamn Jesus songs. And he got quiet. And then eventually I ran out of songs. And so then I started having Bible study. And it was quiet, everybody was cool. So Sonny came, and it was this old dude, old dude that was locked up. He wasn't saying nothing about him. So day went by, and Sonny was calm and cool. It's like, man was like, yeah, man. Everybody was speaking to me, saying, we glad you're here. I'm like, what kind of weird stuff is that? So I get out. The old guy gets out first. So we walk past the cell. And he comes back. And he says, I just want you to know God put you in here. And I'm like, what? I said, yeah, God put you in here. I said, well, why are you here? He said he was a World War something vet, and every year the ones of them still live and gather in the city and get together. And there was about 15 of them left. But somebody showed up in Augusta early, got drunk, and by the time he got there, they started fussing, and he had been drinking, but they were fussing too much. He was going to drive back to Albany, and they got him for DUI and let him sober up and let him go home. But he kept telling me, God put you here. So, anyway, I get out Monday morning. About a week or so after or something like that, I see this guy. He stops me, runs me down. Hey. I'm like, yeah, what? He said, man, he said, I'm glad they put you in there. Put me where? He said, in jail that night. I said, why would you say that? He said, oh man, we know they planted you in there. I said, planted me? He said, yeah, we saw you, we know you a preacher. I said, no, my dad's a minister, but I'm not. He said, no, we saw you on television. I said, saw me on television? He said, yeah. There was a show here back in the day called Ebony Speaks, and this man, Leroy Thomas, was the host of it. And one day he had me on, and I used one of my dad's robes, and I did a Martin Luther King speech with his robe on. And these guys had seen it, and all of them thought I was truly a minister because of that. And a lot of them, through the years, had told me that I had changed their pattern and way of life and changed the way they lived, and because of that jail visit. The reason why I'm telling the story again tonight is because when I told it in snippets at the Douglas for this event, lo and behold, one of those guys was sitting in the damn audience and stopped me and started talking to me. And he said, you didn't hear me shout you out? And I was like, what do you mean? When I was telling that story, I heard somebody say, yeah. And from my cultural neighborhood, it's a certain kind of way person said something. You know that they know because they were there too. And I remember this, and I was like, I remember hearing that. So this guy told me after the Douglas event how I changed him. He had gone to college and got a degree and all that kind of stuff. So my celebration, this is weird as shit, but I still celebrate getting locked up for the weekend.